Email, in my humble opinion, is still the greatest marketing channel of all time. It's the only way you can truly own your audience today. But when it comes to building those emails, well, if you've ever tried building an email in an enterprise marketing automation platform, you know just how painful that can be. I won't name names, but templates get too rigid, editing code can break things, and the whole process just takes forever when it shouldn't. That's why we love Knack here at Exit 5. Knack is a no-code email platform that makes it easy to create on-brand, high-performing emails without the bottlenecks. If you're frustrated by clunky email builders, you need Knack. If you're tired of hoping the email you sent looks good across all devices, just test it in Knack first. And if you're a big team that's making it hard to collaborate and get approvals on your email, you definitely need Knack. And the best part, everything takes a fraction of the time. You can see Knack in action at knack.com/exit-5. That's knak.com/exit-5. Or just let them know you heard about Knack from Exit 5. That's us.
You're listening to The Dave Gerhardt Show.
Exit.
Welcome to What's Your Process? Today, I'm joined by the founder of Exit 5, Mr. Dave Gerhardt. Dave, how's it going?
Dimitri, good to see you, man. Thank you for having me. Fan of yours, fan of the pod. Actually, I haven't listened to an episode yet. I told you that. But you reached out and I said yes to coming on because I think it's fun to do a podcast with someone you know. I host a podcast, and so I do these a lot, but it's really fun to not be interviewing today. And so I'm like, heck yeah, this is actually the easiest meeting that I have today. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully it's the most fun as well.
It will be for sure. I just talked about my tax bill and my accounting for next year. So can't be worse than that.
Weirdly enough, I did the exact same thing before this. Not even kidding you. Good times. Accounting. Who knew that would be is that what we should talk about today?
I mean, there's so much to unpack. I will say that one of the I think, you run your own business. I'm running my own business. Man, I've learned so much about things that I never paid attention to in school or in life until I think what's your process? A big part of my process is I typically don't pay attention to anything until I actually have to do it personally. That's how I learn. So I'm learning a lot right now.
Honestly, same. Or it's I've always thought there are a lot of these things. I'll just figure it out when it comes time and then say, oh, this is actually a super complicated, complex, nuanced thing.
Today's the day to figure it out.
Yeah. I have 20 minutes to figure out this thing that people study for, 20 years of their lives. But, accounting aside, what do people need to know about you?
My name is Dave Gerhardt. I am a dad, a husband. I live in Vermont, and I've made a career as a marketer. I started my career accidentally, got an internship in PR and worked at a PR agency because it was one of the only places that I could really get a job at that would pay me any money. It was hourly, $10 an hour as an intern. And that was my first real business. I never really thought about business. I wanted to be doing sports or cool things. And I got into a company and it was awesome. I learned a lot. I was good at my job. I got to rise up through the company and then kind of parlayed that into a career in marketing. And I've now done the psychoanalysis on myself and realized that there's a bunch of common threads here, which is I've always loved presenting, performing, writing, creating, and marketing is kind of that role inside of a business. I was CMO at a couple of tech startups. And there were 2 acquisitions. And then I was able to start my own business, which is Exit 5, which is a community for B2B marketing professionals. We have an online community. We do events. We create content. And having a lot of fun doing it. So that's my intro.
I love that. And, for people who maybe are not aware of Exit 5, this is not sponsored, but I am a member and I'm very happy that I'm a member. So highly, highly encourage.
You are actually, we got there's a big name, $100 million plus revenue company CMO joined on a Saturday morning, and her, UTM_source referral was Dimitri Shamus. So shout out to you, dude. Thank you.
I'll send you my address for the cut later.
We got you. Well, so it's funny. You've I'm glad you're happy because you've like accidentally or unintentionally like made your way into company lore, because I'm putting this on the record for anybody who doesn't know. We did our first event last year, so we've now done it twice, our big annual conference, and Dimitri was one of the people that kind of took a chance and got a ticket and ended up having a blast. And he was leaving Chicago, Chicago to Burlington. Would you fly O'Hare to Burlington? Was it direct? And
Yeah.
he posted from the airport, like, I'm on my way to Vermont, AKA like the B2B Mecca, which is just like such an insider joke, hilarious, set the whole tone off for the, right? Like this guy's coming to Vermont for a marketing conference, B2B marketing conference. And then this year I put that in my deck, when I did an intro and welcome, like I welcomed everybody back to the B2B Mecca. So you've branded it. I'm glad you're wearing your brand hat because you helped us rebrand Vermont as the B2B Mecca.
Well, we'll talk to the tourism board and make it happen. Just like Vermont, a B2B state.
High taxes in Vermont, cold weather, no billboards. Did you know that I don't know if it's the only state, I'll have to Google it, but you cannot, billboards are illegal here.
What?
Not good for brand advertising, and now officially the B2B Mecca.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, B2B Mecca with no out of home or I guess there's out of home, there's just no billboards, but that's pretty fantastic.
Well, what would out of home, is that true? Like, can you have out of home with no billboards? Like, what would that mean?
Like, buses.
Yeah, I guess like in the mall,
just random signs, no somewhere, benches,
like,
perhaps.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
There's subway.
Yeah, there's no subway
or train.
There's subway, like the sandwich restaurant. There's no subway.
I mean, that's clearly sponsoring all sorts of things. Anyway, but it was an honor being featured in 2 of your keynotes, both times welcome. Unexpected, and now I'm sitting here just like, I'm coming in September to Stowe to the 3rd one. So, buy your tickets to drive, folks. But I'm like, am I going to make the 3rd? Am I going for the hat trick on this one?
Yeah, you're coming. Yeah.
No. I'm physically, I will absolutely.
Oh, the keynote?
Will I make the keynote?
Yeah. Absolutely.
No pressure, obviously.
Absolutely. No pressure. We're now shifting to, it's a strictly pay for play model. So I'm not sure who I'm going to mention in the keynote now, but we'll let you know.
Well, you know what? Keep that referral bonus for yourself and we'll call it even.
Thank you. All right, good. Noted. Noted.
Perfect. So Dave, what is one thing you're world class at?
Talking shit. No, that's not the real one. That's not the real one. That's not the real one. I'm a world-class shit talker. I think it's a huge part of humans and our connection. And I think it's very important. I think I'm a world-class copywriter, self-proclaimed world-class copywriter. And when I talk about copywriting, I actually think there's probably plenty of people who might read my writing and think that I'm a shit writer. It's not pretty, it's not perfect, but I think I'm excellent at getting people's attention, getting a point across, and finding a way to say that through words. That comes out in a bunch of different formats. I'm the person, like in my family, that if my wife is struggling to write that kind of strong but not being a dick, like kind of forceful email to the school, she wants to consult with me and be like, how would you say this? And she's like, that's such a better way of saying that. And it's like, you're not directly being an asshole, but like you're saying, like, you're being firm. Last night, I was literally rewriting an ad for one of our sponsors in our newsletter. We rewrote the headline, we rewrote the image, we made a bunch of changes, and the sponsor was like, "Oh my god, this is way better." And so that's the thing that I feel most comfortable doing and am best at.
That's awesome. I love that answer because I think like there's a lot of angles that, when I was thinking about who I wanted for the show, obviously you were near the top of the list, but like copywriting was something in my mind, building community was something that was in my mind, like just in general, like the idea of even bringing people together beyond like our B2B definition of what community is. I think you've done a good job at like you were literally the first person I ever met that started a podcast. I don't know what that says about who I was, a decade ago, but
I think that was normal though, because the way that we met was at HubSpot, and it was really weird because the company that I was at went out of business, and I had a podcast on the side, and Mike Volpe, who's the CMO at HubSpot at the time, had a relationship with that company, and he knew my podcast, and he knew that I didn't really have a home. And he decided him and Joe Chernoff, they had this idea of they were going to hire a podcast producer at HubSpot, which was like a crazy idea at the time because nobody even had a podcast, and to pay someone, I don't know, like 80 grand or whatever to like host a podcast full time was crazy. I would tell my friends about it. It was like embarrassing almost. It was like, wait, your job is what? And then like, I hated like walking around HubSpot and like meeting new people because I just thought it was like the dorkiest thing ever. Like, oh, this is Dave. He's our new podcast producer. And people were like, a what?
Well, it's funny. So I've never actually told you this story, but I told someone else this just the other day.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people assume just because like we're cool now that we were like buddies back then. And like we were just, we knew.
Are you going to tell people you didn't like me on this podcast?
Dave was the worst. No, not at all. But, we were just two guys working in an office and we knew each other. And I'd say we were cool, but like, we weren't like hanging out after work or anything like that. But like, I was also like, in my mind, like I was like the new guy in Boston. I had just moved from New York. I was like, I'm generally like an introvert. Like doing this is always like a wild thing for me. So I'd been at the company for 6-7 months at that point, and a buddy of mine came up for inbound, and this was like inbound 15 or something like that. And he was talking about how he wanted to start a podcast, but he didn't know how. And I was like, I know who to talk to. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect way. I'm gonna get him Dave. And then literally like that Monday you had put in your notice. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not getting in with Dave.
I thought you were going to say like, you tried to set me up with this guy and I was like, just come up, like didn't even take the meeting. And I was like a complete dick because I can be that way sometimes. So that's better.
No, you're a great shit talker, but you're a good dude. So no, not a concern there.
I just have such a hard time. Like my wife likes to tell me, she's like, no, she's like, Dave, no is a totally acceptable answer. But there's this weird kind of like social contract of like, I think it's crazy that someone, just because they like ask you that you have to take a meeting or like give time. To me, I've always felt this way. Like time is like the most valuable asset that I have.
Yes.
And I'm fortunate enough to like have money now. And so I change how I think about time because I quantify like, I'm really not going to do that shit. But I felt like this even when I wasn't financially successful. I just felt like, man, I only have an hour. Out of this hour, like, am I really going to go have lunch with some guy who really just wants to like ask questions about me to help his thing? And then my wife is like, yeah, but what about all the people that took meetings with you? I'm like, I know that there's this weird balance, but I never know how to handle those things. So I'm glad to hear that.
I don't know. Like,
there's a connection between the podcast thing and the copywriting thing too, which is just like, I love storytelling. I love communication, like amount of people that I was able to meet through hosting and producing a podcast was like this insane cheat code at the time. And then I think having done so many episodes and interviews, your brain just like builds up a repository of that knowledge. Yep. And so I can write a hook for something in like a minute because I've done it a lot before. Right. And it's like, or you draw on like, man, I don't know. I think about this. Sometimes I lay in bed and I think about this. I'm like, over the last 10 years, I've probably done this format an hour with somebody. I don't know, maybe 500 unique individuals. Right.
That's wild.
Like, and that's not even that. There's podcasters who are doing that every day, every week. You look at people that are in like the thousands of episodes. And so for me, it's just been in a bunch of different forms, mostly about marketing. But think about how that stuff compounds conversationally. And then the reason I always have like little notebooks and stuff around me is because I'm constantly writing things down because you just never know. Yeah. And everything that we talk about, like I might have just said something, like I might have just, people always ask about like LinkedIn content or newsletter or whatever. The more you talk, I'm like, oh, that's actually a funny story. Like how I hate taking meetings. Like I might write a note on that. And then like later that becomes like a topic that I write for a newsletter. And so I think one of the skills that I've developed, and like, I think you have this too, is like this brain where like everything can become marketing and storytelling and content and copy in some way. I think about a little anecdote my father-in-law told me. And so I think it's just kind of always being curious, having lots of conversations, and then like being able to translate that into writing is the thing that I enjoy.
100%. Like, I mean, one of the questions I get all the time, because like I'm out here talking about technology and AI in a lot of instances, and it's like, oh, you're out there like pumping note takers and using them and whatever. And it's like, yeah, I absolutely am. But that doesn't mean the notebook goes away, because what the note taker doesn't capture is that nuance, right? It doesn't capture the random thoughts that you have in the back of your mind when someone says something, because it can't possibly know those things. So,
well, there's also something like yesterday, even just now before this, yesterday, I had an hour-long conversation with my lawyer, and there was a call recorder, obviously, but the whole time during the call, I'm taking notes and I have the date. There's a good chance I don't ever go back to this.
right.
But I think there has to be some way that we're physically wired where, like, because I wrote down notes during the call, my brain is like organizing information in a certain way. And I think that this dramatically increases the chances that I can recall what I said. And so I try to like just doodle and take little notes. And then like my writing is shit. Like you can't read it. It's terrible handwriting, but I know what it says. And I can go through this conversation that I had with my lawyer yesterday. And I know like, okay, here are roughly the 3 points. And this was actually a thing for me early in my career where like I was a religious note taker. And I saw a clip from Mark Andreessen on this recently. And he's like, a lot of times the person who takes notes in the room is the one with the power. And I remember being like a more junior person in a bunch of these meetings. And you remember this from like early in your career? Like you get invited to this big meeting and you don't really have shit to say or to contribute.
You're just happy to be
You're just kind of there and you're just like moving around a lot. Well, dude, I took like religious notes. I took so many notes. I have notebooks and I have an Evernote filled with notes. And I gotta feel like that has compounded over time and is a skill. And I love technology and all this stuff, but I want my kids to see me reading physical books and writing things down. I think there's a lost art that I'm worried about losing there. So,
I mean, that's like, I don't want to get sidetracked and you want to jump into the process in a second, but like that.
I mean, have you noticed this is my job, been sidetracking us since the beginning.
No, you've been doing a great job. This is all interesting stuff, at least to me. And like selfishly, like who cares about everyone else, right? But no, I at some point went digital on my reading. Like I'm analog in most things in life, but for whatever reason, digital is the way I read.
Well, the Kindle, my wife and I were just talking about this. The Kindle is the supreme reading device because you can lie on your side. You can lie like this. A book is not the best.
But you have a million books as well, where it's just like, you go on a trip or something. Like we went on a family trip a couple of weeks ago, and like
just lugging 6 books with you, right?
Like especially I mean you get it. Like you're a father of young kids, and every God forbid they read one book. That's you have to read 10 books at any given time. So like having that collection all in one place is great, but at the same time, it's also like I'm yelling at my kids to get off screens, and they're like, "But you're on one." And it's like, but I'm reading a book. They're like, but how are they going to know that I'm not just,
I know. And my daughter really wants she crushes books. She's a voracious reader and she wants a Kindle. And for some reason, I don't want to get her a Kindle because it's like a screen, but I don't know. It's a weird thing.
We'll talk parenting on the next one, What's Your Process? But
What's Your Process? Oh, What's Your Process Parenting Edition. That's a good sub brand.
I don't like, I had a great, and it's funny because like, I think you bringing up copywriting is really interesting because Eddie was on the show in season 1, Eddie Schlaner. We also delved into fatherhood in a lot of ways in that conversation. And I wonder if there's, we'll find out at the end of this thing, but I wonder if there's some sort of like through line or just continuity between like how thoughtful you have to be as a copywriter, even with that muscle memory, and what it's like within parenthood or like some level of increased responsibility. I feel like there's something there because like it just came up naturally in both conversations and we're just getting started. So, okay. All right, let's talk about world-class copywriting because I think you're a great shit talker. I do think you're really good at getting your point across. How do you start? Like when you're thinking like I need to write something down, which is a very broad and vague introduction to this. Like what crosses your mind?
Well, I think first it depends on what I'm writing. If I were working on, say, a landing page for a new product launch or an event that we're doing, my first step would almost always be to go and find at least one, maybe 2 or 3 examples of event landing pages that I think are good. This is like the hack for maybe anything ever. Humans, the world has been around for 14 billion years or something like that. I don't know.
I wasn't there. I don't remember.
I wasn't there either. Yeah. Some version of me was. That's what it said in Sapiens. And humans, it's like it's crazy if you actually think about the life, like how long the world has been around, and then like how humans, we've really only lived for
a tiny fraction of it. Yeah,
a tiny fraction of that. But in the day-to-day social media cycle, everything feels brand new. And it's like, actually, no, a lot of this stuff has already happened before. And success leaves clues. And most of us, we're all just copying each other in some form or not. There are very, very, very few like completely brand new, original, zero, And so sometimes I'm feeling like super juiced up and I feel like I can just like free form write something. And I know I have this, sometimes like magic does happen. Like that is the creative process. As you can be stuck on something and like, bam, you're just like in the wrong place. Your kid's screaming at you, but you're like, I got this idea and I got to go write it down. And I will literally just like, get out my notebook and I'll just draw like the landing page and I'll just like write what the headline is and kind of draw what the body should be. And then I'll like save that and I'll go back later. So that's rare. You can't rely on that always happening. It's like having the best day ever. It doesn't happen. So usually it starts with finding something else and finding inspiration and finding someone who's done a good job of this here before. And I will start with that. And I usually don't ever write 0 to 1. Right now, we're like, as an example, we're working really hard on trying to improve our newsletter with Exit 5. And so that meant like I've spent the last week obsessing over Morning Brew, obsessing over Lenny's newsletter, and just really trying to understand like what is it that people love about those things and how can we apply them to that. And so that's typically where I'll start, just to get a rough idea of like what's the kind of layout. And then for me, it always starts with the headline or the hook. And I say headline or hook because I think they can be used interchangeably. Like the headline doesn't necessarily mean like 3 pithy lines, like a tagline, on the HubSpot homepage. It's more just like, what's the general thing that we're trying to convey here? And then another thing that really matters a lot is naming things. If you name something, something just sticks with people in a different way. Like you saying the B2B Mecca is pretty funny. It's pretty silly. And so if we're working on something, we always like, is this something that could be named? Like, does this need to be named? And so we're working on a new event. Like we have we came up with the name Drive for our event. And I didn't really love the name at all. I just like, whatever, Drive. It's cool. It's not like the craziest name ever, but it's kind of like naming your kid. My son Sam was born and I was like, Sam Gerhardt. Sam, it seems so weird to say, right? You're like, who the fuck is Sam Gerhardt? But now he's
Sam now.
That's my dude. Of course, that is Sam. There are Sam-isms. There are Sam things. And I think the same is true with like naming things. And so we kind of we picked this idea. So we had to name Drive. Okay, now I got the name. I got the example. I got the concept. Now I can kind of go and start to write this thing a little bit and almost like begin with the end in mind. There's a great book called The Presentation Secrets of Steve Jobs by this guy, Carmine Gallo. And he broke down like how Steve Jobs was such a compelling public speaker and just communicator in general. And the whole secret from the Apple stuff was like, they'd almost always start with like, what's the soundbite? We're launching the new iPhone, but like, what's the soundbite that we want like Wired to write about? And then it's like, let's say that. And then like, let's work backwards from that. And so like with Drive, it's like, what do we want people to say that it's, what would be success? How do we want people to talk about this? And then like, let's make that thing. I think you can make that a reality.
Well, what I love about this that goes counter to pretty much every piece of advice you ever get is like, it's always, write the subject last, write the email or whatever it is, and then come back and write the subject line. And you're just like, no, I'm absolutely getting in your face right off the bat and then filling it out. And like,
I had this conversation yesterday. So Erin is on our team and she does content for us. And she said, can I ask you a question? She said, do you, and I edit and like approve all the emails and newsletters or whatever that go out. And so they send me a draft and I look at it and I get to tweak and edit things and whatever. And every time I rewrite the subject line, delete it and write it. I don't like just softly edit it. I just like, I don't like that. I change it every time without fail. There's never been one that I haven't rewritten. And she's like, do you want me to just like, you always delete it. Should I just not write a subject line? And I said, no, actually, no, because I like it helps me get to where it should be quicker. Like I like that something is there. Then I can, my brain instantly goes like, no, it's not that, it's this. First, if it was blank, then I have to be like, what is it? And similar to like the Drive naming example, like I actually, part of like the what's your process thing is like, it's never going to be the first idea that comes out of you.
Right.
You have to,
it's editing.
You have to edit. Process. It's like, I don't know who said it, but there's a quote that I say all the time, which is like, great writing is actually just great. It's great writing is great editing, which is like, let me try to write out like 5 or 10 subject lines, figure out the ones that I like. And this is actually where tools like ChatGPT are great. I can say, here's the concept. Let's come up with 15 variations of this subject line. And then I can like take this word from this one. Oh, I like this. I wouldn't have started that one here. And then like I end up building my own. It's like, that's what I love. I don't think I'm a very like beautiful writer. I think I'm really good at like piecing things together, and that's what it becomes, you know?
Well, so that's the other thing that like I've taken away from the past like few minutes of this, where like you've talked about Morning Brew, you've talked about Lenny's newsletter, you talked about the Jobs book, you talked earlier about how you're a voracious reader. Like you're constantly, it seems like, consuming content. There's got to be something to that too, where it's just like you're picking the nuggets from each of these things that are valuable for you. But then also I imagine thinking like, you know what, I would have done this differently, or I would have approached this in a different kind of way. And that also like kicks things off for you.
All right, it's that time of year. Everybody's scrambling to wrap it up, justify budgets, get those plans in last minute, and quietly hope that the numbers are going to hold going into 2026. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most marketing teams still don't actually know what's driving real results and what's just taking credit. There's a difference. And you can't make smart calls for next year if you're just guessing about what's working, what's not, and where to put your next dollar. Paramark has built something to fix that. It's their free incrementality calculator, and it takes 2 minutes, and it's going to give you a simple reality check on one question. If you stopped a campaign, would the results still happen anyway? I can think of a few ideas in my head right now that I would like to run this through. Maybe branded search would be one of them. Anyway, that's incrementality, and it's how the best marketers are cutting waste, tightening budgets, and figuring out which programs actually deserve to make it into next year. You'll get a quick read on whether you're ready for incrementality testing and how much money you could be saving right now. So go and check it out. Completely free tool from Paramark. It's paramark.com/calculator. That's paramark.com/calculator.
Like that's part of like that almost inspiration aspect.
Constantly, everything, it must be annoying as hell to like work with me sometimes, because I'm like, look at this thumbnail, sending this email, check out this thing, sending a picture from the grocery store, like look at this. But that's just how my brain works, and I think that helps me with writing because it's like, I don't believe in writer. I don't really think writer's block exists. I think you just have to like force yourself to just get something going. And it's like working out. It's like running, right? It's like, yeah.
You get the wheel turning. And once it's turning, it's turning.
Once you run that first mile and you got a little sweat going and you're like, all right, I got this. Like this feels good now. That's where we want to get to.
Yeah, I can't relate to that one. If I run 1 mile, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I've checked the box. So I'm happy to stop.
All right. I won't. I have a thoughts on that, but I won't fight you on it today.
Whatever your thoughts are, I promise you they are right, and I'm well aware of them, and I'm still not doing it. Okay. But so you figured out what you're writing. You've been inspired. What happens next?
I usually just write it. Just go, just until I hit a stopping point, and I try to get as much of it down on paper as possible. And then I will go back and edit and really think about something that drives me nuts with writing. And again, people that might listen to this, you might read my writing and think it sucks. I'm just talking about like my personal stuff. I think formatting is really an underrated part of writing.
Yes.
And so like, we run our business on Slack like a lot of people do. And I think it's very easy to in Slack, you just wrote a lot. And I'm like, dude, no one's going to read that. Like getting someone to read it, like the dish has to be appealing. If it looks like a bunch of shit, you're like, trust me, this is like the best thing you're ever going to eat. You're never going to get there.
You eat with your eyes.
You eat with your eyes. Is that, right? Yeah, you eat with your, I'm going to steal that. Eat with your eyes. That's the copywriting technique, right? So then I'm like, I want to get all the thoughts out. And then I want to reorganize it, restructure it to be like clear headline, section, thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. I really like guardrails for writing too, because I think it's like very easy to just kind of like go off the deep end. And I really like grouping things, if we can say this product has 3 core benefits, or here are the 5 reasons you should use Exit 5 or whatever. Like I like little tricks like that to give myself guardrails to like frame things up. used to live in the website world. I hate working on websites because it's like the founder and the product team and the marketing. It's like this is infinitely possible. No, it's not. Let's here's the homepage. It's going to have these sections. Like, what can we put in these buckets? I think that's really useful from a writing standpoint. And then I got this is not groundbreaking. I got it from that Carmine Gallo presentation secrets of Steve Jobs thing, but it's always tell us story, problem, solution, call to action is almost always works.
Yeah.
Tell a story to get someone in, to hook them in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then present the problem, introduce some type of conflict and say, but there's a problem, right? Then show the solution, talk about the solution, how you solve that. Back it up with examples, because humans, we operate in stories and nuggets and clear examples. Especially me, I'm like, oh wait, what do you mean? Oh, it's like that. Okay, got it. And then have your ask or call to action. The thing that drives me nuts with writing is too many competing CTAs.
Well, that's going back to your homepage example. That's what ends up happening, right? Where it's just oh, we can't offend this person or this team, and they've been working so hard. We've got to put whatever they've done on the homepage. It's but is that what we want to be known for? Or
right.
Is that what we want the key takeaway to be? Right.
I use this quote. There's this guy Ryan Dice gifted me these books a couple years ago, The Wizard of Ads by Roy Williams, and I use this quote all the time, but 50% of people don't understand what it means. So I'll say let me, in the book, he says, the risk of insult is the price of clarity.
Risk of insult is the price of clarity. I love that.
Do you understand what that means though?
Yeah. In speaking the truth, you're probably going to piss some people off.
So in your website example, the risk of insult, the risk of the VP of partnerships not being happy that her thing wasn't listed on the website, and the VP of product, the head of sales, our sales guy at Drift used to always be why don't we talk about this? Okay, I'm okay with that. The result though is going to be people are actually going to go to our website and understand and take the next step. I think so much of marketing and communication is actually, you know what? The goal is not to get everyone to know everything your product can do and thing can do in this moment. It's just this constant cycle of next step, next step, next step. Oh, interesting. Cool. Did I convey the message in the homepage? Do you think our brand is credible? Do we have proof? Do we have examples? Do you roughly understand what we do? Yes, I'd like to learn more. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to tell you the next thing in the next, with that context. And so I was editing an email, earlier this week, and there were 5 different call to actions in there. It's link out to our podcast, link out to this thing, link out to this thing. I'm let's begin with the end in mind. Go to the recipient, be the recipient of this email. I'm checking my email after I got off my call with Dimitri. I got 56 new messages, right? Does my brain have the time to parse all of that and figure out what's important? Oh no, this is an invite to a webinar that we're doing. Great. There should be one call to action. There should be one call to action in this email, and that should be to register for this webinar, period. If you want to repeat the same link multiple times, which I also do, which I think is important, I'll put the link in the first or second line. I'll put the link again at the bottom, same exact link. I'll bold it, underline it, whatever. That's the goal. And then even just to give you a specific example on this, because I know people will nerd out on this, I hate when people do sentence and then one word, it's click here. And then the only thing that's hyperlinked is here. I want the whole real estate. I will link that whole entire sentence and make it bold, because I'm oh, the link is here. You're going to read the whole thing and then click it. But if it just, back to the formatting really matters, right?
Yeah. I love that, because whether it's this framework from Carmine Gallo, or just as you're thinking about the homepage example, I know we're jumping around and doing a couple of different things here, but a lot of what you're talking about seems like it's focus. It's have a point, get people to where you want to get them, as opposed to just throw a bunch of stuff into the wild and hope it sticks. And whether that be with the subject line that you're editing, whether that be with the single CTA, all with the many, I guess we would call that a long tail keyword to a certain extent, right? If it's a link and it goes out to something at some point. I'm clearly an SEO expert, but
just keep things simple. Let's be clear, let's be direct. I mean, there's certain times in life where there's nuance and people want to have all knowledge and get more information. But I think for the sake of this discussion, it's less is more.
I'm with you 100%. And, in going back to like the direct process here, right? You've written it, you formatted it. Do you just hit post or send, or is there any kind of like secondary editing process or thinking process?
I think everything kind of goes into my head, and it's like, what are we working on, and like, what's the stakes of that thing? And so something that we're doing this new event in March, and an event in Arizona, this Exit 5 marketing leadership retreat. I'll actually tell you the URL just so people can see it, because I think it's a good page. It's exit5.com/retreat. This was a page that we spent a lot of time on, sweat every word, because this is a new event. The audience is like CMOs doing like 100 million in revenue. There's a personal letter for me. I even have at the bottom like, hey, I really wrote this, like not ChatGPT, it's my signature, things like that. That was like, the goal is not to rush this out. The goal is like to get this right. And so there's multiple rounds of feedback. And so like we kick that back and forth a lot. But then there's something like LinkedIn. I can post on LinkedIn every day. And so like sometimes I just will literally, today I wrote my post at the end of my workout. I was walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes, and I was like, oh, I don't have a post for today. And I just fired something off. Like that one, don't care. There's typos, there's whatever. Somebody will call it out and I'll fix it later. Like the stakes are lower on that one. And so I think the stakes matter a little bit less. Something like our email. I love writing with deadlines. I think we do this it's very easy as a creative and creator to just like, I think time boxing can really be your friend. And so it's like, yeah, our newsletter goes out every Tuesday, every Thursday. There are very clear deadlines for like when I have to have that copy in, and like I have to ship this. Like the homework is due tomorrow, and like it is what it is. The grade has already been written.
Does the newsletter go out if you don't see it?
No.
Okay, so now this brings us to an interesting place, because I know we've been joking about founder mode for a long time online and whatnot, which I'm a huge fan of. But as the founder, you do get to make some of these calls, right?
Well, yes, but like let's like level set. Let's give people the context of like, we are a media company. The newsletter is a product for us. It generates revenue. It has thousands of subscribers. We sell sponsors. It is the product, right?
It matters.
Versus like, if I was the founder of like a SaaS company, like would I need to sweat every single email? I mean, maybe I should. Maybe that's the beginning of this episode actually, which is like, I think that is my unique skill. Like every founder has an angle, a thing. And it's like, this is an area where I can provide unique value and have expertise in. And so like, I think that's for our business, like that's where I should be spending my time. Now it's changed a lot. I don't take it from 0 to 1. Like we have writers, we have a team, like I'm getting it towards the end of the line, but I'm going in and making changes and like putting my, fingerprints all over it.
And track and field is not something I know intimately. So let's obviously go with that example. But like, I love you. Yeah. Like, are you the last one in the relay, like getting the baton and crossing the line?
Yeah. But yes, but there's somebody at the end who's gonna like, I also say like, I kind of go in and I kind of do like the Tasmanian devil thing on it. And then someone else goes back in and is like, let's clean up this section. Let's tighten this up. Let's good. Like good. I don't need to see it again. I'm like, I don't need to see it again after this, but like, here's my changes. Like I changed this, I rewrote this intro. Like I would say, can we find a better example here? And then I have to be just where we're at now. Like I have to be good with it. My life would not be possible. It would not be possible to live my life if everyone had to wait around for me to final bless it. But then also look, it's a newsletter, like back to like, how do you decide, like, or when is it done, or what's your process? Like it goes out weekly. Let's have weekly at bats at this thing and let's make it better every week. And so the message that I try to share with our team is like, I'm going to edit it. I'm going to give you feedback. I'm also going to give feedback on it after it's gone out. And that's not to criticize it. It's just like, we're looking at it after. And it's like, this kind of came off weird. This showed up weird. Like, let's tweak it for next time. I believe that like quality matters, but I think a lot of times as marketers and creators, like we let quality be this like excuse to not ship stuff.
Yep. What I really love about this point here is like, and especially within the realm of like, consider the stakes, is even though something is important and matters and affects the bottom line, you can still experiment, right? And like I'll see it within the newsletter from like, oh, well, one time it's a list, one time it's a thought piece from you, one time it's something, it's takeaways from a webinar or an event. So like you're playing around with the format to a certain extent and learning from it, which I think is great, because I've seen this throughout my career. I know you have as well, where it's like too many teams will sit there and wait until it's perfect. We can't let this out the door until it's the greatest version of whatever it can be. And then it's like, one, that's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing, dude. The reason why we're okay with this though is like we've now put enough, we've shipped enough things and done enough things that like actually multiple times I'm like, I don't think this is our best one. I don't think this is our best thing. And we do it and people love it. And I'm wrong. And on the flip side of that, we've had many things that I'm like, this is it. I spent so much time on this. This is amazing. This video, and it flops.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be a V2. Like there's this joke in like engineering and like development where it's just like, we'll come back to it in V2, and there's never a V2 because, you just move on to whatever the next thing is.
Yeah.
Here's V1000.
As marketers and creators today, and like we are living in an era where like you can get some type of feedback or signal on your work like almost instantly. Mm-hmm. You don't have to wait for like, it's not like Don Draper like selling like Heinz ketchup and like you have to wait for like a quarter's worth of like sales data to come in on Heinz ketchup to know if this campaign was successful or not. It's like, oh, did I make that joke on LinkedIn or like in our email, and like did people respond to it and like use that? Oh man, when I used that example, everyone got it. That's amazing. That's an amazing signal that I can now take to like go and create the next version of it.
Love that. That's really cool. And I think that's like, I would love for anyone watching this, listening this, to like that's like in my mind the biggest takeaway, where it's like you will always get more at bats. Take this seriously. This is important. This matters. But like it's okay. It's okay to fuck around and find out.
Or just like how many, I don't know, like endless sweating about like what the homepage headline should be. And it's like, if we don't like it, let's just change it. if we get data that says it's not working.
But it's etched in stone. We can't, it's impossible to change. We have to go through the creative queue, and we know that's a pain. So we're just going to leave it this way forever.
The creative queue.
All right. So consider the constraints, think about the constraints, or the stakes. Oh my God, constraints. I'm now in, like, I heard creative queue and I'm just like in project management, creative ops land. But like considering the stakes is really interesting because of this perspective. But like, now as we've written it, we've edited it, we've gone back to it. Like at that point, is it just learn? Is it ship it and learn?
Yep, absolutely. Ship it and learn. And so like you mentioned, just we're using our newsletter as an example. You've seen different formats. You've seen like personal notes from me, lists, things about AI, webinar recaps, whatever. Like it's a game of just constant calibration to understand which thing people like the most and what we should go do more of. And so we've done a bunch, and it's like, you know what? It's funny. We have this newsletter that's about B2B marketing. You know what our highest performing content has been? It's been writing about like how people work. How do you manage your work? What's your workflow? What hours do you work? Like, how do you, and people love that shit. And so we got more responses in a day to that email than ever. I don't even know the number. I don't have data on it. It just felt that way. It's just some of these things in your business are so obvious. Bam, a lot of people came in our store today. Like, okay, yeah, great. Let's just go do more of that. And so now it's like we're trying to intentionally work in more personal stuff, right? And it's not scientific, but it's just a gut feeling. And so now we're looking at, all right, for the next month's worth of newsletters and content, like let's make sure we have one of these and 3 of these and 1 of these, and we're going to keep iterating.
I was at an event a couple of weeks ago with Zapier, and someone there said something really interesting, really smart. They're like, we're all experts in this like space in automation, workflow, and AI. And like all we do is create content for one another, more or less. It's like we're creating content for the top 1-2%, when the 98% is who demands the actual knowledge. And like it doesn't all have to be up here, it can be down here. And I think like just to that example, like people just want to know what it takes to succeed. People want to know what other folks are doing that they admire, that they respect, how they're operating, because they're trying to figure it out. And it's like, if we start talking about these like hyper complex, really niche kind of thoughts, ideas, workflow systems, tools, whatever it is, every time, we're going to lose a ton of really great and smart, talented people. So like, I think the response to that makes a ton of sense because it's literally something that any human being can learn from and apply to their day to day. Like the 1%, like they're doing some advanced shit that no one else is ever even thinking about it, or that doesn't occur to them.
Yeah, which is fine. I just would like then reframe your thing around that 1%, and we're going to talk specifically about that use case, and we're going to be just for those people.
Yeah.
And we don't really care how big it is. We just want to focus on that slice.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So on that note, you know, we've shipped it, we've learned, we've found new inspiration, I imagine. But I'm curious, what's next? Where can we see your process in action?
I think now it's like the stakes so like ship fast, do all this stuff. But to me now, like the stakes are higher because I think over the last couple of years, like we've built a real, and I'm just only talking about this within the context of like the thing I'm working on right now. If I was working at a different company, I would maybe give you a different answer. I'm just trying to tell you personally, the stakes are higher and seem real. And so it's like, yeah, sure. Here's an example. Like we will be year 3 of our event. We got more people. We're spending more money on that event than we made in the first year of doing business in general. Wow. You know, like the stakes are high. And I think it's a constant game of raising the bar because like anything in life, like once you do something and have a little bit of result and success, then like the expectations go up. And I want to make sure that we continue to like raise the bar. And so the feedback that we got from Drive in year 1 helped make Drive in year 2 better. And now we have to take an even bigger step this year. And so I'm trying to fight all of my tendencies to like go fast and just like shotgun a bunch of stuff out there to really like, my theme for this year is probably just like depth and quality. We're like, we don't need a bunch of 10x crazy ideas. We just need to make like everything just a little bit better.
But if you have those 1 or 2 kind of big swings, they'll more than 10x if they're done right. And I think that's the whole issue with like, you can't peanut butter it all. You only have, and let's tie it, let's bring it all the way back. You only have so much time, right? You only have so much focus. So what are you going to spend it on? And what are the stakes? You know, what happens?
Yeah.
So
yeah, you make a good point. It's very easy to make a list of like the 100 things that you could be tweaking and optimizing when it's like, I think it's Tim Ferriss who I've listened to for years. And I love his perspective on things, but he has this kind of mantra that he says, which is like, what's the one thing? It's like the one thing or one question. I'll botch it, but you'll get the concept. It's like, what's the one thing that would make everything else easier?
Yes. Yeah.
And so like, if I did this, would that make the rest of the other smaller things much easier? And it's, again, back to things have never changed. It's just, you know, probably like this is the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, right? It's like, there's always kind of 1 or 2 things that are going to make all the difference. And then the micro things don't matter as much.
You're basically just pitching my business now. So thank you for that.
In what way? Just doing 1 or 2 big things?
In creating space for those 1 or 2 big things. Like we all get bogged down in the busy work, right? Like I know you've heard this spiel a million times at this point, but it's like we all get stuck doing these like tiny, low lift, incremental things that prevent us from actually taking chances and experimenting in real ways. So, you know, the idea of like, what's the one thing? Like for us, it might just be like, oh, you know what? We're working with a client that has a lot of paid ads and their design team is super talented, but they're just pumping out like resizes all day, every day. Like that's a bad use of designer time. Like I don't care how big your advertising business or how much business you're doing due to your advertising. I promise you there's a way to simplify that workflow to free those designers up for that big event booth that you're spending a ton of money on that just sucks every year.
This is a symptom of so many teams, which is like everyone, if you polled everyone on the team, like everyone is maxed out, everyone is super busy, everyone is on the borderline of burning out, and yet we're not hitting our goals.
No one's doing anything of value.
And so often that's not that individual's fault. So often that speaks to alignment across the organization, or like trying to do a bunch of marketing for a product that people don't want or isn't the right fit in the market. And
I think it comes back to fear.
Yeah.
And honestly, in my experience, it also comes back to a lack of decision making, where someone's not comfortable going in and saying like, you know what, this isn't the right thing. This isn't a good use of time. Let's switch your focus over to something else.
Yeah. I think one of my, back to the superpowers thing, let me just make this about myself one more time.
This is about you. This is literally about you.
I think one of my biggest strengths is also one of my biggest weaknesses, but like my ability to just blow up the fucking plan and change direction is like second to none. I mean, if I could get Leah to come over here and share this right now, like I would be like, yeah, let's sell the house. We're moving to Hawaii tomorrow. I don't care. Let's do it.
I think that's admirable, man.
But here's the, and like inside of a company, this is where like I can be a problem sometimes because I just like, I see all these things. I'm like, what are we doing? Why? Like, okay, that's fine. Like, oh, but this person reports to this thing. And I'm like, I don't care. The pain of like the longer term pain that we have to deal with in going through this nonsense. Like, let's just fix it right now. Let's just go over there and let's go talk to Dimitri right now. And let's just go fix this.
Not enough people are willing to do that.
I have no patience for anything other than that.
I don't know. Yeah. Like, yes, it's a pain in the ass. Yes, there are knock-on effects for sure. But like, if one of the knock-on effects is that you win, like you start generating more business, you start, your team is happier, your team is, taking more chances, learning, doing all the things, then like, who cares if a couple of people's feelings get hurt? But that's the kind of thinking that gets you canceled. So this feels like
it's hard to be a leader. That does get you canceled. It's hard to be a leader. It's very easy to not be a leader and to just be on the sidelines and to criticize everyone. Like anyone that's ever been thrust into a position of leadership and you realize that all of a sudden now people don't like you because you have to make hard decisions, and hard decisions often hurt people's feelings. And that is just the cost of being a leader, whether you're on the school board, in a small town in Vermont or, running a company, it's no different.
It's the job.
Yes.
Oh,
that's right.
All right, Dave. So we are wrapping up here. Where can people find you?
It's funny. This was a great conversation. I've never shared any of this out loud. And so even this was a great way to understand my process. So I'm going to get this recording from you after.
No question. It's yours.
Exit5.com, LinkedIn. That's it. Dave at exit5.com. If you listen to this and you resonated with anything I said, I'd love to hear from people. So send me a note, Dave at exit5.com. I'll try to reply to you.
It's awesome.
And Dimitri, thank you. Thanks for you've been an awesome member of Exit 5. I think what you said is cool is I feel like, yeah, it's funny you work at a company, but there's, 75 people on the marketing team. You don't know somebody during that phase of life, but now we do. It's cool to like make a friendship that way now. And, I'll see you when I see you.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for the time, Dave. Thank you for being here. Excited to get you this recording as fast as possible.
Yeah, get your team on it. Yeah,
we'll do it. My people will call your people. Dude. All right, take it easy.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for listening to this podcast. If you like this episode, you know what? I'm not even going to ask you to subscribe and leave a review because I don't really care about that. I have something better for you. So we've built the #1 private community for B2B marketers at Exit 5, and you can go and check that out. Instead of leaving a rating or review, go check it out right now on our website, exit5.com. Our mission at Exit 5 is to help you grow your career in B2B marketing, and there's no better place to do that than with us at Exit 5. There's nearly 5,000 members now in our community. People are in there posting every day, asking questions about things like marketing planning, ideas, inspiration, asking questions and getting feedback from your peers, building your own network of marketers who are doing the same thing you are so you can have a peer group. Or maybe just venting about your boss when you need to get in there and get something off your chest. It's 100% free to join for 7 days, so you can go and check it out risk-free. And then there's a small annual fee to pay if you want to become a member for the year. Go check it out, learn more, exit5.com, and I will see you over there in the community. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Customer.io. Remember when a personalized message in marketing meant just putting someone's first name into the email and that was magic? Hello, David. Or hello, Gerhardt, or whatever fake name I put into the form. Well, those days are long gone. AI has raised the bar for lifecycle marketing because now you can deliver smarter, context-aware communication that actually feels personal, and you can do it at scale without hiring 5 more people. Today, personalization doesn't just mean using my name, it means actually having the right context. But there's a problem because even though this sounds great in theory, most teams can't actually do it because they're stuck with broken reporting, siloed data, and outdated tech stacks.
it's often easier to just keep doing things the way that we've always done them. So our friends at Customer.io recently surveyed 600 marketers like you and me to figure out what's working and what's broken in lifecycle marketing right now, and how the best teams are actually solving these problems. The report breaks down 2026 priorities, where budgets are moving, and how to tame the measurement mess that we're going through, real-world examples from brands like Notion and Monarch Money that are using AI personalization experiments, and understanding the next chapter of AI, what's on marketers' wish lists, and how customer journeys can get smarter, not just faster. So this guide is packed with examples, data, and strategy that you can put to work right now. If you want to get smarter about lifecycle marketing, this is a great free resource. So where are my email marketers at, my lifecycle marketers listening to this, go and grab it right now, customer.io/exit5, and you can grab this and learn how to build lifecycle marketing that keeps up with today's expectations. That's customer.io/exit5.